I can't read my handwriting. Cool. What is it about our favorite artists, actors, musicians, dancers that they can create all this great stuff and we idolize them for it, for all of their output? What drives them? What's pushing them forward? Famous people are going to tell you that it's because they were born with this natural talent, or they worked 100,000 hours on it, which is part of it. But you work hard, at least you've tried, and you're not getting the same results. So what's the difference? Hi, I'm Riley Smith with MakeGood Creative Network, and today I want to talk to you about something called an artist's mission statement. This is going to take you kind of slapdash doing things piecemeal to feeling like you're really making progress with your creativity and your creative life and being. I want to put it to you this way. Let's say you've got a pile of wood. You want to turn it into something. So you work really, really hard to get all those pieces of wood put together. And then at the end, you've got a jumbled up pile of wood. It's not really useful to anybody and you don't really feel that great about putting it all together. But let's say you've got a pile of wood and you say to yourself, I'm going to make a chair. Cool. Now you can sit down, you can work really, really hard, get everything put together, and now you have a chair. Or maybe you mess things up and you make a stool. But hey, at least you have a stool, and that's pretty cool too. It seems like a really simple idea, but so many of us are going about our creative lives without having an idea as clear as, I'm going to make a chair, I'm going to accomplish this thing with my art. And without that, you're just slapping things together and you're not going to feel as accomplished. You know the whole thing about shoot for the moon and you'll at least end up among the stars. That's what we're trying to do here, except you've got to figure out what your moon is that you're even shooting for. That's what the artist mission statement does, all right? We're going to figure out what it is that you're aiming for. And the process is as simple as 1, 2, 3. You just need a problem to solve, how you in particular solve it, and then what the world will be like when you accomplish it. Which will hopefully be better, although you do you, boo. Maybe you're looking for world domination. Let's focus on each of these one at a time. The first one is the problem that you're going to solve. This is not like, oh man, I don't have a jet ski, and I really wish I had a jet ski. All right, this is a problem that's something with the whole world that really steams you up or bothers you or you feel like it's wrong, all right? So we're looking for the things that you rant about, all right? The stuff that you complain to your friends, the stuff that makes you tear up and want to yell, all right? This is the problem that we're going to attack. For, let's take as an example, maybe a comedian is working on making their artistic mission statement. They think that people don't know how to laugh at themselves and it's making everybody sad. It can be that simple. Or they can go a different route of their people don't see things from other people's point of view. And you'll see how I link that to being a comedian. Because they're scared, because they're insulated, because they're stuck in their mindset, whatever it is. So that's the example, all right? Now we're going to move on to thing number 2. Thing number 2 is how do you, in particular, solve this problem? This means how do you take your art, your creation, whatever you're doing, and how do you make that a solution to the problem that we just talked about. So how are you going to apply what you in particular can do in order to solve this problem? So we're talking about this comedian who thinks people don't know how to laugh at themselves. All right, that was the first example. People don't know how to laugh at themselves and it's making everybody sad. For the solution, in my comedy, I create relatable humor that everyone can feel like they're being gently called out. And then everyone can have a good laugh at themselves and feel less serious. The other example we're looking at is, all right, what if you're a little more political with your comedy and you think people are too close-minded, they can't see things from other people's point of view. So with my comedy, I tell stories from an experience outside of a lot of people and I try to incorporate experiences and ideas into jokes, which softens the delivery and makes people more receptive and accepting of whatever the idea is. All right, so that's the idea for a comedian. You've got your problem, you've got your solution, and now step 3. Step 3 is what is the world going to look like if you accomplish your goal? This should be huge, all right? This should be a big, big thing. This should be a big change to the world. So for the third thing, so let's think about this. This comedian, the problem was that people don't know how to laugh at themselves, and it's making them more stressed and sad. So with my comedy, I create relatable humor that allows people to take another look at themselves and laugh and enjoy those quirks about their personality. If more people laugh at themselves, less people will be stressed out and angry and will have more joy and happiness in the world. It should be that big. It should be that what you are doing, what you're creating is going to be world changing, because it is. If you can make it and get out in the world and you have this mission in mind, it will be world changing. Let's think about the other example, right? So this is the little more political leaning comedian. The problem they see in the world is that people are too close-minded. They don't understand other points of view. So that's from a very, that's a thing that pisses them off. So that's their problem. And in their comedy, they take other points of view and outsiders' perspectives and they turn into jokes so that people are more receptive, can understand it through the magic of humor and comedy. All right, that way people's minds are opened gently and people feel more open to understanding other people, meaning the world is a more peaceful, open-minded place. Think about if you were trying to think of like, what gigs do I take, or do I start this YouTube channel? If you had that mission crystal clear in your mind, like, I am working to make the world a more open-minded place, you're gonna have an much easier time coming up with sketches, coming up with ideas. Everything can flow from this. And that's the thing, once you create the mission statement, you then actually have to use it to inform your art, to make choices of what projects you get involved with. If your goal is to make the world a more open-minded place, then maybe you want to get involved with troops that are doing more edgy comedy or diverse with different voices. You don't want to get on that stand-up list that's just the same old thing. You want to be working a little more on the edges with your content. So it really helps you decide where to focus your energy. For me, my personal mission statement, the mission statement of MakeGood, the problem that I saw is that creative people are not getting enough support. And it's leaving them feeling lost and lonely, and they're not making stuff, the wonderful stuff they would otherwise be making. That bothers me. I create content, helpful resources, and we're building a community of artists so that people feel like they have that support network. That way fewer people are feeling lost and lonely. That's what drives me. And I really think if you make your own mission statement, then you're going to feel that same sort of push, that same sort of drive. Now what I would like to do is to give you an example in case you're like, okay, yeah, sure. But we started by talking about celebs and like prolific, famous writers, etc. So how do I know this actually works? Okay. All of the big name, big time people that you know have a mission statement like this. This is the secret. They didn't sit down to like write it out. When people say, why do you make what you make? They're gonna have the answer. And it's gonna have these three components: a problem, a solution, and how they want the world to look like when they're done. I have a couple of examples for you. Your favorite writers and artists, musicians, etc. People use this and it pushes them forward into success, bigger distribution, and more of an impact for their art. Success, however you want to define it. Does not have to be making money, but we do want people to see the stuff we make. So the first person we're gonna look at, Margaret Atwood. When asked why she wrote The Handmaid's Tale. In her 2005 book, Moving Targets, she tells us she wrote it as a response to speculative works like 1984 and so much other sci-fi stuff written by white dudes. And she really felt like in all of these stories, where were the women? Where were their voice? What was their experience of the apocalypse or dystopia? So she wanted women to see themselves in this world and really understand their own journey, see that replicated in the work that she wrote. She wanted to help women see their voice in literature and in speculative fiction and to understand where we are right now. So basically, Margaret Atwood saw a problem. No, like real women in any of these works of speculative fiction. She wanted to read that book. She wanted to see her own story. So she was a writer. Easy solution to the problem. She wrote the book that she wanted to see in the world. And in that way, women could read the book and see their own experience and empathize and feel their story being told. And it became a huge bestseller. It's a TV show now, and it spurred a bunch of conversations. So now we all have more language and ideas around our story, our experience, what we're feeling. Next mission statement is from Maya Angelou. Pretty big deal, pretty big impact. No one's gonna argue with me, I don't think. So here's the quote from Maya Angelou. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived. But if faced with courage, need not be lived again. There it is, the problem. History with its wrenching pain cannot be unlived. We can't undo the hurt that has already been done. The solution is to face it with courage, and in her case, it's writing it, facing it courageously in her writing, and really looking directly at her own history and how that history ties into the world. And then the solution is it doesn't have to happen again. Things don't have to be the way that they were. She helps the world face our history with courage. So that's the solution. If history is faced with courage, these things, these horrible things that happen don't have to happen again. That's pretty amazing. That's a pretty impactful reason to write and live your life. And you can do this for one project like Margaret Atwood did it for Handmaid's Tale, or you can use this for everything. So last one, I'm going to take you to someone who is not a writer, Jim Morrison. All right, so a writer of music. His mission statement: revolt, disorder, chaos, especially activity that seems to have no meaning, seems to me to be the road toward freedom. I start outside and reach the mental through the physical. All right, so he kind of did this in a different order, which makes sense because that goes along with his mission statement about chaos and disorder, but he still has all three elements. So the first thing is the problem. The problem's kind of implied that there is a lack of freedom. We're trying to get there, we're on the road, we're not there, we're not free, we're trapped. All these things hemming us in. All right, so there's the problem that he saw. The second thing, the solution that he found, is chaos, disorder, seemingly meaningless activity, all right? And that's what he brings into his music. You see that element. He tries to find these ways of expanding what's expected of music and expected of his songs. The solution is chaos and disorder, and he brings that into his art. And like he says, he starts, another part of the solution for him is starting from the physical and getting into mental. So you start from physical, the exterior world, and creating chaos in it, and then that brings it into the mental state of freedom, all right? And that is the world that he's moving us towards. Okay, so those are just 3 examples, but if you look at like basically a ton of quotes from whoever your role model is, you're gonna start seeing this, that they have an idea of what is the problem, how are they the solution, what is it that they do, and then what is the world gonna be like when they solve the problem. These are really big goals. These need to be things that you definitely need other people's help for. You're not gonna see it in your lifetime, but you will see progress. You will see your art start to make a difference for whatever problem you're trying to solve. Just to make sure everybody is clear, 1, you're gonna figure out your problem. Don't even start thinking about what it is that you do yet. Don't be like, well, I'm a writer, so perhaps I should do something literary. Whatever it is that you do, don't think about it yet. Throw it out of your head. What I want you to start with is the problem. What's something that really ticks you off and feels wrong to you about the way the world is? The second thing is your solution. So now we start thinking about you and your skills, your art, your unique abilities. How are you going to apply those? Or just what needs to be done to solve that problem? Maybe you start with the problem and then the solution makes you realize like, whoa, I thought I was a poet, but now I'm realizing I could reach more people in this other way to solve this problem. So definitely start with that problem, then consider how can you help it, what is necessary to solve it. And then the third thing, an aspirational vision, and you really want to think about concretely, what does that vision look like? The road to freedom, not living history over again, women seeing their stories told. Really think about what does that vision look like for you? What is the goal at the end of the rainbow? Make that as concrete as possible. You can make it a very clear experience, like maybe that comedian who wants people to laugh at themselves. Somebody comes up to them after a show and says, hey, I have had the worst week of my life and you gave me the biggest laugh. I feel so much better now. Maybe that's it, you know, something concrete. What is the feedback that you want to see that you're making progress with fixing the problem that you're addressing? If you've got yours all set up, please put it in the comments below. I would love to see it and love to know how you're going to start putting it into action. If you're having a little bit of trouble with any of the 3 points, please also go ahead, pop that in the comments and I'll respond and we can kind of work through it together and figure out what will work best for you. If you feel like you need even a little bit more help getting your creativity in gear, getting on track, starting to make stuff, then you should download our 21 Creativity Killer. I ask for your email, which I will then use to send you cool stuff like videos like these, helpful things. But in exchange, you're going to get the 21 top creativity killers so you can identify specifically what's holding you back from creating as much as you would like and getting it out into the world. In addition to just, that kind of diagnostic tool, we even have an action plan template so you can kick it in the face. Kick it in the face. Metaphorically, kick whatever is holding you back from being inspired, in the face. But you should subscribe though. I don't know if it's over here. I don't know if this is where the subscribe button is. Maybe it's down here. You should subscribe so you get more cool content like this. And download that Creativity Killer thing. Talk to me below in the comments. I'd love to hear your mission statement. But most importantly, let's go make stuff.